This is SecretSpool, a quiet new home, a name written where it shouldn't be, and a stranger who moves like they belong. Listen closely. It was supposed to be a fresh start. My brother and I had spent years sharing a place, and when we finally signed the papers for a townhome together, it felt ordinary, comfortable even. The moving boxes were stacked, the couch was in one corner, the kitchen smelled faintly of bubble wrap and instant coffee. That first morning, I stepped outside for a cigarette just to breathe in the newness of the place and pretend the knot of exhaustion wasn't there. We stood on the small covered patio, still rubbing sleep from our eyes, talking nonsense about football and who would actually watch the game on Sunday. Then my brother froze. He pointed. On the wooden frame of the patio, in big black marker, someone had written my name, Cody. We both blinked. No friends, no housewarming. Not a single person had been inside except us, because we had moved everything ourselves. The name hadn't been there the night before. It had appeared overnight, impossible and accusing, ink thick against the pale wood. We were confused, uneasy, but life needed moving forward, so we scrubbed it, shrugged, and told ourselves maybe the previous owner had left a prank or a marker had smudged. We never figured out how it got there. 2 months slid by. The townhome began to feel like ours. Boxes turned into shelves. The dog, my German Shepherd, stretched into the new living room rug like he'd always been there. Nights were ordinary. TV, takeout, the steady comfort of someone else's breathing in the next room. One night, I went out to a bar down the street with a friend. Nothing special. Cheap drinks, louder laughter than we needed, a taco at 1 a.m. I came home late, tiptoed in, fed the dog at the kitchen table like I always did, and went upstairs to crash. My brother was asleep. I curled up, the house humming soft and familiar around me. Morning came with the kind of small alarm that yanks you from sleep and says, "Pay attention." My bedroom door stood wide open. The dog wasn't there. He never left the room when I slept, not without a reason. I felt the odd, cold prickle of something wrong and pushed it aside. Maybe I'd left the door open earlier, I thought. Maybe I'd let the dog out and forgot. The rational explanations felt thin. Then I went downstairs. My brother met me, face closed, eyes not confused but terrified. He asked, blunt as a sentence, "Did you bring someone home last night?" I said no, I hadn't. I'd only spoken to my friend. No one rode home with me. No one I didn't know was in my house. His face changed when I said that. It wasn't confusion anymore. It was a particular kind of dread. He told me, slowly, what he'd heard at 3 in the morning. Loud noises, a clatter, like a box falling over. He assumed it was me assembling the IKEA desk I'd recently bought. He got up to shout at me, to tell me to be quiet. Halfway down the stairs, he flipped on the light. At the bottom of the stairs, leaning over the desk box, stood a girl. She was calm. She was doing something ordinary, leaning the fallen box against the wall. And when she looked up, she met his eyes and didn't flinch. She didn't bolt. She didn't reach for the door. She simply walked into the living room as if she belonged there. My brother saw the dog at her side. The dog was relaxed. That slowness, no snarls, no hair up on the neck, convinced my brother she had to be one of my friends. So he did nothing. He turned the light off. He went back to bed. He planned to ask me in the morning. It's a strange, foolish thing we do sometimes, needing confirmation, wanting the facts laid out cleanly in daylight before we allow ourselves to panic. We acclimate to small anomalies until something nudges the pattern into the sharpness of fear. That morning, the pattern snapped. The image of my bedroom door gaping wide and my dog missing from the bed fit into place with the story my brother told. Whoever that girl was, at some point during the night, she had been in my room. She had walked through it. She had been close enough to the bed for my dog to accept her presence. We called the police. We walked the house together, checking the locks, testing the windows, turning on lights to look again at places the dark might have hidden something in. There were no signs of forced entry. The front door was still locked when I checked the latch. No footprints in the dust that had been standing undisturbed for weeks. Nothing that screamed an explanation. We replayed the moment, how the girl had acted like she belonged, how the dog had behaved like she belonged. We replayed our own choices and where our assumptions had nearly cost us our safety. The thought that someone had simply walked into our home, moved through it with the same casual confidence you'd show in your friend's living room, and left without explanation is small horror kind of terrifying. Even more terrifying, the possibility that she might come back, the realization that someone could exist who knows how to move through boundaries without tripping alarms, wordless and unseen. Over the next days, I changed everything I could think of. New locks, stricter nightly routines, lamps that stayed on timers, a camera by the front door, even though the footage mostly caught nothing but the glow of the street. I left notes for myself. Never come home without checking the hall. Always lock the deadbolt. If you hear a noise, go to the light and call out before approaching. You learn quickly that fear sharpens your discipline. You also learn how easy it is to shrug off the small tells, someone in a place who doesn't belong, a door open where it should not be, and how expensive that shrug can become. Not just in dollars for new locks, but in the slow corrosion of a feeling you used to trust, that your home was a safe container for yourself and your things. The story didn't end with a neat reveal. There was no police report that closed the case, no neighbor's confession, no viral video of a prankster scrawling my name on the porch and then sneaking back in. The black marker on the wood never had its author found. The girl who picked up the desk box and walked where she pleased remained a ghost in the way that matters. Unknown, human enough to be convincing, and gone without explanation. So what do you take from a story like this? What's the lesson when the world hands you something that smells like a prank and looks a lot like a threat? First, trust the small signals. If an unlocked door or a misplaced object makes your stomach drop, act. Don't wait for daylight confirmation. That pause between discomfort and denial is where strangers slip through. Second, boundary maintenance is real and practical. Home security isn't just cameras and locks. It's routines. Shared expectations, the kind of household code you use to keep people safe, even if those people are the ones you already know. Teach each other to pause at the strange. Make a plan for the night noises, the open doors, the things that don't add up. Third, accountability matters. My brother didn't want to cause drama. He assumed, he learned. He owned that mistake by changing behavior. Accountable people don't blame and forget. They adjust, they reinforce, and they tell the truth, even when the truth is scary. Finally, the world contains strange things, and sometimes they sit beside us until they're noticed. That's unnerving. But we can let that unease sharpen our care instead of becoming carapace. We can choose caution that doesn't become paranoia. We can choose to be attentive, to lock the door, to ask the hard question, who was that? Who might it be next time? I still sleep with the lamp on sometimes. I check the door before I climb the stairs. I have the camera footage saved in a folder I rarely look at. The marker on the patio was scrubbed away years ago in my memory, but left a trace. A story I tell to remind myself that safety often comes from small acts repeated. Locks clicked, lights left on timers, voices raised when something feels wrong. Whoever you are, girl leaning over the desk box, calm as if you own the place. Let's never meet. Thanks for listening. If this unsettled you, leave a comment with your own close call. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We've got more twisted tales coming.